everyone, it's James from the Fit RV, and I am here in Elkhart, Indiana at Utility Body Works with Scott. Now, Utility Body Works is a custom suspension installer, and as you may have guessed by seeing number one up in the air behind us, we're here to install something, and we're going to install VB air suspension. Now, we had VB suspension in Lance, loved it, want to do the same thing to number one. That's why it's up in the air right now. So, Scott, can you tell us real quick, just kind of a basic overview of what are the different components we're going to be installing?
Well, really all we're doing is removing the OEM, the stock suspension.
That's the leaf spring.
The leaf springs and everything. And what we're going to be mounting these in place of the leaf springs with all the control mechanism, our airbags. And what we're trying to...
small. It
expands out a lot.
Okay.
Ooh, we can't pull it out right now, but yeah, it'll expand out quite a ways. And what we're doing all of this for is so this thing handles 100 times better than it does right now. 100 times better. It's going to be set at a stock height, or it's going to be set at the factory spec height. It doesn't matter what you put in there. It's going to come right back to that height. When you're driving her down the road, you're going to lose a lot of that body roll.
Oh, good.
And not only it's going to dampen that down, but when it does roll, you're going to feel much more in control of it. So as you're going and you're hitting them high winds, trucks go by you, you're just going to keep on keeping on.
Well, we live out west, and it's always seems like it's windy out there, so I'm going to appreciate that. But number one is not a blank chassis. It's an already built out RV, and so we've identified a few challenges that we're going to have to
There's
hit.
challenges that we're
going to have to work around when we do this. So let's head underneath and we'll talk about those.
All right,
let's go. Okay, so one of the first challenges you've identified is the exhaust here, because even I can tell that the airbag is going to have to go right here somewhere,
there,
and this would just flat out melt it or damage it. So
not be good. So what we're going to have to do is probably going to have to relocate the spare tire, figure out a different home for that, and then the exhaust, we're either going to kick it out and turn it out behind the rear wheel or in front of the rear wheel, wherever, after we get the airbag mounted up there, kind of see the best location for that.
Okay, so you mount the airbag first, and then you see, because I guess otherwise it'd be just guessing, right?
It really is. So it's better just to get all the parts in there, and then we can work around everything that we need to work around.
And you can handle the exhaust work
no
here?
No problem. We can definitely handle that. And if we need to do any extra shielding to protect the parts, obviously we got to make sure it's going to be safe.
Okay.
Going down the road.
All right, so that's clearly a problem, or a challenge.
A challenge. It's a challenge. We look forward to challenges.
All right, there you go.
We got another slight challenge over here, only because of the proximity here. We can't get that bolt out. So we're going to have to do a little creative engineering to get that out.
Anyone, even if you just wanted to replace your leaf spring.
Oh yeah, you definitely got to do some work to get that thing out of there. They don't make these to work on accessibly.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. All right.
Then we got a little issue up front here. Right in this area is where our volume tank is supposed to mount.
Oh, like the tank of reserve air.
Yeah.
Okay, well, clearly the engineers didn't anticipate my inverter being installed in this box here.
But that's okay too. We can come up with a different home for that and make it nice and happy.
Okay, and so that's the bags, the reserve air tank. What about the control unit?
The actual compressor is going to mount right here behind the fuel tank, and it's been engineered so the extra large fuel tank is not going to be in the way. We have plenty of room right here to mount that dude up there, be nice and happy, no problems.
Okay, and when you're mounting this stuff, do you generally use like the Ford factory holes for bolts and that sort of thing? I'm sure the VB is engineered to use those.
Yes, that's one of the nice things about the VB is there is no drilling, there's no welding, there's no, everything just bolts right on in factory locations. One of the highest engineered kits that we work with, and that's one of the big reasons they get the nod from companies like Ford Transit or Mercedes or all the other companies they build them for, is we can install it without voiding your warranty. Right. So whatever warranty you have on the unit, you're going to have after we're done with it.
And I guess the only challenges then really are what's been added by the RV manufacturer.
The upfitters, yeah, they don't take into consideration any extra work that we got to do to it, but we get used to working around it. It's no problem.
Okay, so I'm looking at these, just out of curiosity, I'm looking at these leaf springs, and they're bent like the inverse of what I think they should be bent to.
That's the problem with these, is they're made to handle the weight, but they're not made to handle the weight comfortably.
Okay.
They're great for a plumbing truck, but when you guys are riding around the country in the RV, you want something a little bit better than a plumbing truck.
These look fairly maxed out to me.
So the number one issue we always deal with is how to get rid of these.
That's the name of it.
We got to get rid of those leaf springs to make this thing just ride a lot better.
All right, so how long you think an install like this is going to take? Just ballpark it, I'm not holding you to it.
Oh, ballpark on something like this, we're probably looking about 8-9 hours.
Okay.
Depending on any possible issues that pop up along the way that we didn't notice beginning.
Okay. Well, Scott, I appreciate the walkthrough. I'm going to get out of your hair, and we'll let you get down to it.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll check in with you later.
Alrighty.
All right, bye. All right, Scott, we've been at it several hours, and we got a big pile of stuff here. This is all things that have come off, stock transit parts. Like, I recognize the leaf springs and shocks.
Yeah, we get rid of the stock shocks, and they're actually replaced with VB shocks.
What's different about the shocks?
They're, the compression rate is a little bit different.
Oh.
Where it has a, like the first probably 2 inches, it's a softer compression, and then it really engages once it starts getting a little bit lower than that.
So it's made to work with the airbags.
Yep, yep.
All right.
Because you just don't have, you're not experiencing the travel that you are with the leaf springs.
Right.
And the same thing with the bump stops. We got rid of the factory bump stops, replaced with VB bump stops.
And exhaust, we knew this was going to be an issue up front.
Yeah.
So obviously some of this is going back. We'll have to talk about that. And then I'm noticing spare tire winch parts. So
with this system, technically you can still maintain the spare tire in its original location. For this purposes, obviously, we went ahead and removed it. We have to remove it to actually do the install because it really gets in the way. But it does, can we go underneath?
yeah, let's go. Oh, so those.
So you actually could maintain the spare tire underneath here.
Okay.
If it was something that the customer wanted, we could keep the spare tire in here. There's plenty of clearance around the way. Obviously, the tailpipe has to go away. It can't run out the back like it used to because it's going to run into the airbag.
Right, and it get pinched up in there.
And get pinched up in here, so we are going to have to turn the exhaust out in front of the in front of the tire. But this gives us an awesome location to mount our air tank back here, because the recommended location is not going to work with the
build out
with the box in there.
Right. So what do we have installed here? So the leaf springs are gone. We've got these kind of arms, trailing arms, whatever we call those.
Yep, here's your airbag. Obviously it's not fully inflated just yet. And then we got the Panar bar, which locates your axle underneath the coach. We have a stiffener bar because now all of our weight is being dispersed in these two locations. So this helps keep those frame rails apart. Keeps it from caving in on you. You don't want that.
Oh, okay. Because the airbags will move in 360 degrees, whereas like the leaf springs are only going to move up and down. These could kind of go side to side, and so that's why we need all the support.
Well, you have all of the weight sitting right here.
Yeah.
Whereas with a leaf spring, it would be dispersed between here, and that whole area carries the weight. Now you just have the weight here, and the frame rails would actually want to move in. Well, this prevents that from happening.
Got it. Okay.
And that mounts right to the upper bag mounts. So, I mean, everything is all one piece. Keeps everything separated. Your sway bar stays in its exact location. We just had to change the end links out.
It's the same factory sway bar?
Yep.
Okay.
And you can kind of see in here, we have our calibration blocks in there.
That's the silver things there.
And that tells the program, that tells the computer that this is the height that axle needs to be at.
Got it. So we're not totally up on the new suspension yet, obviously.
No, not all the way.
Okay.
And then have to inflate the bags.
Right. And where's the compressor, the control unit?
The compressor is mounted right up here in front, right behind your fuel tank.
Okay.
And it just mounts up in the same location that this mounts to. Nice tucked up out of the way, protected from any road grime.
Okay, cool. And so that's more or less the spec location for that?
Yep, that's exactly where VB says to mount it. It's going to have a cover covering the bottom of it, obviously.
Right. And you
keep all the dirt and everything out of there.
You got that bolt out of there. That was the...
yeah, that one took a little work. We had to do a little cutting and a little torching to get that one out.
Right on. And then you've got airlines running, and there's going to be some work done up in the cab where the...
yep, our wiring harness actually runs up underneath the driver's seat. And that's where we wire everything up. And then all the way up front there, we actually have emergency fill lines just in case something were to happen to your compressor. You can just stop by any service station and fill your airbags up and keep on down the road.
Oh, okay, cool.
So if something, I mean, you always have to plan on the inevitable. If something were to happen with your compressor, you can still drive it around.
Okay. And so now the air tank, that's still sitting over there.
This is the big old air tank that's causing us all the problems.
All right.
But what I'm thinking is if we mount this right up in here instead of our spare tire, that'll be nice tucked up out of the way, protected from everything.
Yeah, it's kind of behind that large beam.
Yep. You're not going to take that out in any way.
There you go. What's your estimate on the weight change that you've been lifting the parts all day?
Honestly, it's I mean, maybe this might be 10, 15 pounds heavier than the stock suspension. Because a lot of the parts, I mean, like you pull the leaf springs out, these are comparable to the leaf springs. They might be a little bit lighter.
Stocks was just a swap.
Yeah, I mean, like the upper back mounts, those might be 10 pounds. So, I mean, there's really not a big weight differential.
Under 50 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
At any rate.
Yeah. Definitely not going to hinder your load capacity that much.
Okay, cool.
But it's all about the gains. It'll give you a lot more than it'll take away.
Right on. And then there's no like training or anything as an end user.
No, it's really a fully automatic system. We kind of tell people not to touch the remote because it just doesn't need to be played with.
All right, well, speaking of leave it alone, I'm going to leave you alone and let you finish up, and we'll come back when you're done.
All righty, sir.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back. It's the next day, and we have finished up, Scott. So
All done.
What have we got back here? This is the air tank. It's mounted more or less where you said, right?
Yep, right up where the spare tire used to be. We got it tucked up plenty out of the way. It's not going to affect anything or anything else affect that.
Okay, and these are, I love the
Super
sound
hard.
of that.
We just got done calibrating it. We had to raise it up to remove our calibration blocks.
So they're not normally going to be this drum tight.
They're going to be that tight, but not that tall.
Oh, can we drop it down?
Yeah.
Oh. Do I need to be concerned?
No.
Okay.
That's ride height right there.
That's right height.
So, I mean, we're still nice and tight, but we're back down over the piston where it belongs. We got plenty of room between our bump stop and our axle.
Okay.
So hopefully you'll never feel that.
Yeah, the bump stop looks shorter and different than what was there before.
Yep, we had to remove the factory bump stops and install the VB bump stops, give ourselves a little more clearance.
Okay, sway bar is the same one.
Yep, just different end links.
So we've got, this is the compressor and control.
Yep, that's the compressor, the askew, all the valving for everything.
All right, and then this is the exhaust. Okay.
We modified the exhaust to be able to get, we kept the resonator in there. We were able to get it turned out in front of the rear tire, so we don't have to worry about trying to snake it through the suspension.
Yeah, that looks like it would have wound up being pretty tight.
Yeah, that would have not been good.
And then we've got the same little panel or the handheld
the
unit
same controller that you had on the
ProMaster.
On the ProMaster. Operates relatively the same fashion.
All right, so let's. What do you say we drop it down to the ground and we go through, like, I know we don't do much with the VB as a day-to-day ride thing, but people are going to want to know: can we use this to adjust the height while we're parked at a campground or something like that?
We can drop it down and go over the remote, how it works.
All right, let's do it.
So
now,
with the remote, one of the nice features of this is as you turn the key on here, it'll go through a system check. And as long as everything comes up, no lights on everything, you're good to go.
Okay.
The system says everybody's happy.
And you get, even if you're not looking at it, like, you'll get an audio.
Yeah, there's a buzzer actually underneath the seat that'll go off that say something's not right, so then we got to check everything.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, in order to do anything with the remote, you got to pull the handbrake.
Okay.
And that blue light comes on. That basically tells you that the emergency brake is pulled, which is allowing us to go into manual mode.
Okay.
From here, up, raises it up, down, we can lower it down, and then you'll see that light flashing.
So a quick press, is that letting all the air out?
Yep. That just basically dumping the whole system.
Okay, so if I
We were actually talking about that the other day. That'd be handy if you need to, like, empty your tanks.
Yeah.
To get it kind of sloped down so everything runs out.
It's still deflating. All right.
And now with a solid light, we're as low as it goes.
Okay.
And then all you gotta do is just push it up one time, and then everything will raise back up to ride height.
And then one more time, we'll get it up to the top.
One more time, go all the way up.
Do you know what the range of adjustability is? Like, if we were trying to level out at a campsite and we had the brake on, could we get?
You probably got about 3 inches down and 3 inches up from the ride height.
Okay. Good to know.
And then if you leave the system activated while at the campsite while you're moving around in there, it might kick on. Easiest way to stop it is just pull the key out.
Okay. So it's only and when we pull the key out, it'll stop at whatever height it's at, right?
Actually, the system stays active for about 5 minutes after you pull the key out.
Okay.
So then after everything settles out, everything's nice and happy, and everything will shut off and just stay off.
Okay, so if we've got it raised all the way up to the top, it'll stay.
It'll stay there,
okay.
Yeah.
So next question is, let's say I take this in to get new tires or wheels or something.
We always tell everybody, anytime you take it to a shop, now we're with
all the way at the top.
All the way at the top. So then just one quick bump, it'll drop it right back down to ride height.
Okay.
We always tell everybody the best way to protect the airbags whenever they lift the vehicle off the tires is to hit this service button right here. And what that does is just completely deactivate the system. So as they raise it, it's not going to try to react to
Right.
the wheels moving.
Yeah, because if you raised it up, then the wheels would drop. The ride height's going to increase. It's going to think it needs to let air out of the bag.
Yep. And then when you lower it back down, there's no air in the bags. Potentially, you could pinch your bag in that situation. So we need to be careful not to have that happen. And then when you get done with your service, you just hit your service button, take your emergency brake off. No lights on the remote. You are good to go.
Cool. Okay. Now, let's say there's a worst case kind of emergency and there's some sort of problem with the system and your bags are deflated. I know there's emergency fill valves.
Yep, we have emergency fill valves mounted underneath the hood. We can show you that.
All right, let's go.
But one of the things with the remote, we always tell people it's not really something that you need to have access to on a regular basis. So there's really nice pockets in the back of the seat right here. We just tell people stick that remote right back in there, and then you don't have to worry about anything bad happening.
All right, I'll worry about mounting that later. Let's have a look at those valves.
So this is the emergency fill valve, and it's actually color coded. The black and the green are your right and your left side. And when you go to fill those up, it is side specific. One won't fill up the entire system.
Okay.
So if in case of an emergency, you do need to fill them, what you're gonna have to do is just kind of watch it. We also tell people just check the pressure with a regular old tire gauge, and that'll kind of give you an idea where you need to be at for normal ride height.
We're at again, like 65?
Yeah, we're probably around 65.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit less, somewhere in that ballpark.
Okay.
And then
those are regular Schrader valves,
They're
right?
just regular Schrader valves. You can use any air compressor you have to fill
Bicycle
those up.
pump.
Yep. That might take a little while, get 65 pounds in there, but yeah, you can use it.
Okay, cool.
And then we have all those lines run, tied up all nice underneath the vehicle all the way back to the compressor.
All right, anything else we need to know as far, and now, you said these are not side specific, right?
They are side specific.
They are, so you'll only inflate one side. But the system itself, like if I were using the up or down buttons, it's not going to take into account that the it'll inflate both sides the same?
It'll inflate, well, it's based off of ride sensors that are installed on your axle. So if, say, oddly enough, one side of the vehicle is heavier than the other side, you might have more pressure in one bag than in the other.
Okay.
It will level it out so both of them are reading the same.
So we'll try to level it side of it, but this is still not going to take the place of a true leveling system, and we'll be back for that.
Yeah. Well, leveling systems are nice, but
yeah,
this is not that. This is just basically the basic function of this is to maintain ride height. So however much you put in your coach, if you have a trailer on the back of it, if you have storage hanging off of your hitch, all those things, it'll accommodate that and keep you at ride height. So you should experience no sag in the back end of this thing.
Awesome. All right, and there's some other information on the stickers on the door over here.
Yep, we have all of the contact information.
VB. Is this green one a VB sticker?
No, this is our sticker for Utility Body Works that we did the install, and then you have your kit serial number. So if you were to call VB and have any issues, you're going to need the serial number, and then this is your actual kit number.
Okay.
So those are just kind of corresponding.
Perfect. All right. Anything else you can think of that we need to know? I mean, we've had VB before, and so we're already kind of familiar with it. So
there's just not a lot more else that needs to be gone over. It's a very automatic system. You don't have to do a lot with it. You don't have to monkey too much around with it.
Cool. So there's nothing left for us to do except take it for a ride.
Enjoy your ride.
I'm kind of curious to see if the exhaust sounds any different. I can't really tell. It doesn't seem to sound any different.
Doesn't sound any different.
All right.
Might you get out there and romp on it a couple of times.
Let's do it. Come on, Stef.